Listen up, everyone. We have important matters to discuss.
The year was 1964, and the Golden Dragon restaurant in Oakland, California was packed with martial arts masters. They came from dojos across the city, each one a respected teacher with years of training. But tonight, none of them could stop what was happening. A massive man named Victor Kane stood in the center of the restaurant. He was 6 feet 3 inches, weighed 240 pounds, and had been terrorizing the Chinese community for weeks. His fists were the size of hams, and his reputation for violence had grown with each passing day. "Come on!" Victor shouted, his voice echoing off the red walls. "I thought you kung fu people were supposed to be tough. Which one of you wants to be next?" 3 masters lay on the floor, groaning in pain. Master Chun, who had taught martial arts for 30 years, held his bruised ribs. Master Lu, a respected elder, sat against the wall with a bloody nose. Even young Master Wang, known for his lightning-fast kicks, couldn't land a single blow before Victor knocked him down. The crowd watched in silent horror. Elderly Chinese couples clutched their teacups. Young families held their children close. This wasn't just about fighting anymore. This was about dignity, respect, and whether anyone could stand up to this bully who thought he owned the streets. Then the restaurant door opened quietly. A young man walked in. He was small, maybe 5 feet 7 inches and 140 pounds. He wore simple black pants and a white shirt. His dark hair was neatly combed, and his eyes were calm but alert. "I heard there was trouble here," the young man said softly. His voice was respectful but carried an authority that made people turn and look. Victor laughed, a cruel sound that made the hanging lantern seem to shake. "You? You're going to stop me? Do you even know who I am?" The young man bowed slightly. "I know you've hurt good people tonight. That's all I need to know. What's your name, little man?" Victor asked, cracking his knuckles. "My name is Bruce Lee, and tonight, you learn an important lesson about respect." Before we continue this incredible story, if you appreciate tales about justice and standing up for what's right, hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us share more inspiring stories like this one. To understand why this moment mattered so much, you need to know about the Golden Dragon restaurant and the man who walked through those doors. The Golden Dragon had been serving the Oakland Chinese community since 1952. It was more than just a restaurant. It was where families celebrated birthdays, where business deals were made over dim sum, and where the elderly gathered to share stories of the old country. The red walls were covered with paintings of dragons and phoenixes. Lucky bamboo plants sat on every table. The smell of jasmine tea mixed with soy sauce and ginger created an atmosphere of tradition and comfort. But lately, fear had replaced comfort. Victor Kane had moved into the neighborhood 3 months earlier. He was a former boxer who'd been kicked out of professional fighting for unnecessary roughness. Now he made money through intimidation. He'd walk into Chinese businesses and demand protection money. If owners refused, he'd smash their windows or hurt their customers. The police had been called, but Victor was careful. He never left obvious evidence, and witnesses were too frightened to testify. The Chinese community, many of whom spoke limited English and feared authority, felt trapped and helpless. Tonight was supposed to be different. Master Chun, Master Lu, and Master Wang had decided enough was enough. They were respected martial arts teachers who trained for decades. They believed their skills could protect their community. They were wrong. Victor had street fighting experience that traditional martial arts training couldn't match. He fought dirty, used his size advantage, and had no respect for rules or honor. Within minutes, all 3 masters were defeated. The restaurant fell silent with despair. Bruce Lee was only 23 years old, but he'd already earned a reputation as an exceptional martial artist. Born in San Francisco but raised in Hong Kong, Bruce had studied Wing Chun Kung Fu under the legendary Master IP Man. But Bruce didn't just learn traditional forms. He studied boxing, fencing, and wrestling. He questioned everything, tested everything, and developed his own philosophy about fighting. "The best fighter is not a boxer, karate man, or judo expert," Bruce often said. "The best fighter is someone who can adapt to any style. Be formless, shapeless like water." Bruce had opened a small martial arts school in Oakland's Chinatown. He taught students from all backgrounds, which was controversial because traditional masters believed Kung Fu should only be taught to Chinese students. But Bruce believed knowledge should be shared with anyone willing to learn with respect and dedication. When Bruce heard about Victor terrorizing the Golden Dragon, he knew he had to act. This wasn't about pride or showing off his skills. It was about protecting people who couldn't protect themselves. It was about showing that bullies don't win when good people stand together. The restaurant atmosphere was thick with tension. Victor circled Bruce like a predator studying prey. The size difference was shocking. Victor outweighed Bruce by 100 pounds and stood nearly a foot taller. Every person watching thought the same thing. This young man is brave but foolish. Last chance to walk away, boy, Victor said, rolling his massive shoulders. I don't want to hurt you too bad. Bruce stood perfectly still. His hands relaxed at his sides. His breathing was calm and controlled. He watched Victor's eyes, not his fists, understanding that the eyes reveal intentions before the body moves. You've already hurt too many people tonight, Bruce replied. I can't walk away from that. Victor lunged forward with surprising speed for his size. His right fist shot toward Bruce's face like a cannonball. The crowd gasped. In their minds, this fight was already over. But Bruce wasn't there anymore. He moved with fluid grace, his head tilting just inches to the left. Victor's massive fist sailed past, hitting nothing but air. Before Victor could reset, Bruce delivered a quick strike to Victor's ribs. It wasn't a hard hit, just a message. I'm faster than you think. Victor roared with anger and threw a combination of punches. Left, right, each one powerful enough to knock out a normal person. Bruce moved between the attacks like smoke slipping through fingers. He didn't waste energy with unnecessary movements. Every shift was precise, economical, and purposeful. Stand still and fight, Victor shouted, frustration building in his voice. Why would I stand still? Bruce asked calmly. Water doesn't stand still. It flows around obstacles. The watching crowd began to whisper with amazement. They'd never seen anyone move like this. The traditional masters fought with rigid stances and practiced forms. Bruce fought like he was dancing, but every movement had deadly purpose. Victor changed tactics. He grabbed a wooden chair and swung it at Bruce's head. This was no longer a fair fight. This was a street brawl where anything goes. Bruce ducked under the chair and delivered a swift kick to Victor's knee. The big man stumbled but didn't fall. He was tough, Bruce had to admit that. Most people would be unconscious by now. You're quick, Victor admitted, breathing heavily. But you can't keep dodging forever. One hit from me and you're finished. Bruce knew Victor was right. He couldn't just defend. He needed to end this fight before Victor's size and strength became too much. But he also knew something Victor didn't understand. Real fighting isn't about size or strength. It's about timing, precision, and knowing exactly where to strike. Master Chun, still sitting against the wall holding his ribs, watched with growing hope. He'd never seen martial arts used like this. Bruce wasn't following traditional forms or flashy movements. He was using practical, effective techniques that actually worked in real combat. Victor charged forward like an angry bull, trying to tackle Bruce to the ground. If he succeeded, his weight advantage would be devastating. But Bruce anticipated the move. He stepped aside at the last second and used Victor's own momentum against him. With a quick pull and twist, Bruce sent Victor crashing into a table. Plates shattered. Teacups flew through the air. The big man got up slowly, his face red with embarrassment and rage. He'd never been made to look this foolish before. You're embarrassing me in front of all these people, Victor growled. I'm going to break you. Bruce's expression remained calm, but his eyes showed determination. You embarrassed yourself by hurting innocent people. I'm just showing everyone that bullies can be stopped. Victor pulled out a knife from his boot. The crowd screamed. This had gone too far. Someone ran to call the police, but everyone knew they wouldn't arrive in time. Bruce's face hardened. The playful, almost educational nature of the fight was over. Now it was truly dangerous. The knife gleamed under the restaurant's lights. Victor held it low and dangerous the way someone experienced with street fighting does. This wasn't some amateur who'd watched too many movies. Victor knew how to use that blade. Not so confident now, are you? Victor said, a cruel smile spreading across his face. But something strange happened. Bruce didn't look scared. Instead, his entire demeanor changed. The calm, almost gentle teacher disappeared. What remained was a warrior who trained his entire life for moments exactly like this. "Put the knife down," Bruce said, his voice dropping to barely above a whisper. "You don't want to cross this line." Victor laughed and lunged with the knife aimed at Bruce's chest. What happened next took less than 2 seconds, but everyone in that restaurant would remember it for the rest of their lives. Bruce's hand shot out with blinding speed. He intercepted Victor's knife hand at the wrist, his grip like an iron vise. At the same moment, his other hand struck Victor's elbow joint. The knife clattered to the floor. Before Victor could react, Bruce delivered a strike to a pressure point on Victor's neck. Victor's eyes went wide with shock and pain. His massive body went rigid, then began to crumble. But Bruce wasn't finished. As Victor fell, Bruce pivoted and delivered his famous 1-inch punch directly to Victor's solar plexus. From just 1 inch away, Bruce generated enough power to lift Victor's 240-pound body completely off the ground and send him flying backward 6 feet. Victor crashed into the wall and slid down, unconscious before he hit the floor. The restaurant was completely silent for 3 full seconds. Nobody could believe what they just witnessed. Then Master Chun started clapping. Master Lu joined him. Soon the entire restaurant erupted in applause and cheers. People stood up from their tables. The elderly grandmothers who'd been crying in fear were now smiling. Children who'd hidden under tables emerged with wonder in their eyes. Bruce bowed respectfully to the crowd, then walked over to check on the defeated bully. Victor was breathing normally, just unconscious. Bruce had struck with precision, not to kill or permanently injure, but to incapacitate. "Someone call an ambulance," Bruce said calmly. "And the police. He'll need medical attention. And the community needs protection from people like him." Master Chun struggled to his feet and approached Bruce with deep respect. "In all my years of martial arts, I've never seen such skill. You've brought honor back to our community tonight." Bruce helped the older master stand steady. "You and the other masters showed great courage tonight. But courage alone isn't enough. We must be smart, adaptable, and use our opponent's strength against them." The N later sentenced to 3 years in prison for assault and extortion. Police arrived minutes later. Multiple witnesses gave statements about Victor's reign of terror and his assault in the restaurant. The evidence was overwhelming. Victor was arrested. But something else happened that night at the Golden Dragon restaurant. Word spread throughout Oakland's Chinatown about the young martial artist who defeated a man twice his size. Bruce Lee became a local hero, not because he wanted fame, but because he'd stood up when others couldn't. 2 weeks after that night, Bruce Lee gave a special demonstration at his martial arts school. The 3 masters who'd been defeated by Victor attended, along with many people from the Golden Dragon restaurant. They wanted to understand how someone so small could defeat someone so large. Bruce stood in front of the gathered crowd and spoke with the wisdom of someone who'd studied not just martial arts, but life itself. "Many people ask me about that night," Bruce began. "They want to know the secret technique I used. But there was no secret technique. There was only principle, practice, and understanding." He walked to a wooden board hanging on the wall and drew a simple diagram. Victor was strong, yes. He was big and experienced in street fighting. But he had 3 critical weaknesses that made him beatable. First, he relied only on strength. Strength is valuable, but it's also predictable. When someone only knows how to push forward with force, you can use that force against them. It's like trying to push a door that opens toward you. The harder you push, the more resistance you create. Master Chen nodded in understanding. This made sense. Second, Bruce continued, Victor fought with anger. Anger makes you blind. It makes you waste energy and miss opportunities. I fought with clarity and purpose. Every movement was deliberate and efficient. Third, and most important, Victor had no respect. He didn't respect his opponents, didn't respect the martial arts, and didn't respect himself. When you have no respect, you become arrogant. Arrogance creates openings that a wise fighter can exploit. A young student raised his hand. But Master Bruce, how do we become fast enough to fight like you did? Bruce smiled. Speed comes from eliminating unnecessary movement. Most traditional martial arts have beautiful forms, but in real fighting, beauty doesn't matter. Only effectiveness matters. I train my strikes 1,000 times until they become natural. I study anatomy to know exactly where to strike for maximum effect. I practice being like water, formless and adaptive. He demonstrated by having Master Chan throw punches at him. Bruce moved with minimal effort, showing how small adjustments in position could make attacks miss by inches. See? I don't need to move 3 feet when 3 inches will do. Economy of motion creates speed. The elderly owner of the Golden Dragon restaurant stood up. Mr. Lee, you saved our restaurant and our community. How can we thank you? Bruce bowed respectfully. You don't need to thank me, but I will ask something of you. Teach your children and grandchildren that size doesn't determine worth. Teach them that respect and discipline are more powerful than muscles. Teach them to stand up against bullies, not with anger, but with courage and intelligence. He paused and looked around the room. That night, Victor thought he was the strongest person in that restaurant. But real strength isn't about how hard you can hit. It's about having the discipline to train when you're tired, the courage to stand up when you're afraid, and the wisdom to know that true martial arts is about protecting others, not hurting them. Master Lu stood and spoke. Bruce Lee, you've taught us something we never learned in all our years of traditional training. You've shown us that martial arts must evolve, must be practical, and must serve the community. We were defeated because we fought the way we'd always fought. You won because you adapted to the situation. Bruce nodded. Traditional martial arts have great value. They teach discipline, respect, and physical conditioning. But we must also be willing to question, test, and improve. My teacher Ip Man taught me Wing Chun. But he also taught me to think for myself, to take what is useful and discard what is not. The gathering ended with Bruce leading everyone in a meditation exercise. Close your eyes, he instructed. Feel your breath. Understand that true strength comes from within. The fight in the restaurant lasted less than 5 minutes, but I've been preparing for moments like that my entire life. Not through violence, but through constant self-improvement and dedication to principles of respect and justice. The story of Bruce Lee at the Golden Dragon restaurant became legendary in Oakland's martial arts community. It taught everyone who heard it that courage isn't about being the biggest or strongest. It's about standing up for what's right, even when the odds seem impossible. Victor Kane served his prison sentence. Some say the experience changed him. Others say he moved away and was never seen in Oakland again. But what mattered most was that the Chinese community felt safe again. Children could walk to school without fear. Business owners no longer paid protection money. The neighborhood healed. Bruce Lee went on to become one of the most influential martial artists and philosophers of the 20th century. He revolutionized martial arts by creating Jeet Kune Do, a style that emphasized practicality over tradition. He broke down racial barriers by teaching students of all backgrounds. And he inspired millions through his films and teachings. But those who were there that night at the Golden Dragon restaurant knew something special. They'd witnessed not just a fight, but a demonstration of principle defeating arrogance, skill defeating size, and respect defeating bullying. The lesson remains as true today as it was in 1964. Never judge someone by their appearance. Respect is earned through character, not intimidation. And sometimes the most powerful person in the room is the one who fights not for glory, but for justice. If this story inspired you or taught you something valuable about respect, courage, and standing up for what's right, please hit that subscribe button and click the notification bell. Share this story with someone who needs to hear about the power of discipline and principle over brute force. Leave a comment below telling us about a time when you witnessed courage triumph over intimidation. Your story might inspire others to stand up against their own bullies. Remember, be like water, my friends. Adapt, flow, and never let anyone tell you that size determines strength. True power comes from within.